Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Today is a great day because I finally finished doing my taxes for all of my businesses. Damn, I hate freaking taxes. Man, it takes me forever because I have so many businesses. I gotta go through and do all these deductions and all this other stuff. It takes forever, and it's like I can't really pay someone else to do it because it's like my deductions, and they're not gonna understand the receipts and bank statements and stuff, and it's gotta be me that does it. For now, at least. But anyways, today I wanted to talk about some of the lessons that I've learned from doing side hustles for the last 5 years. 5 years I've been doing these side hustle stuff. I started in 2017 when it was just like Postmates at the time, really. I don't even know if Doordash was really a thing like it was, but the only app that I knew of, I'd done Uber a long time ago. Like I did Uber back in like 2012, I think. But I don't really count that because it was so long ago, and there was like a 6-year break between that and 4 or 5 year break actually. And I started doing Postmates, but this is when I started doing it full time. And the reason I even started doing Postmates was because I had come from doing, I was working for a business when I first moved to Las Vegas, and I started working for them. I worked for them for a few weeks, just doing social media and stuff. And I recognized right away that while I was working for someone else, I had no time or brain power after I got done working for them to go and work on my own businesses. And it was very important for me because basically the whole reason I even moved to Las Vegas was to get my business going. I started a circus show and a circus footwear company, basically. Well, acrobatic shoes, which has now made a few different pivots, not just acrobatic stuff anymore. Well, that's why I moved to Vegas. What better place to be when you have a circus company than in Las Vegas, right? So for me, like, the most important thing was to make sure that I was getting enough time spent on my businesses. And I remember that moment I was sitting at the table and I was like, man, what am I going to do about money? Like, I need to do something. Like, the businesses they were brand new. They weren't really making any money. The shoe business was definitely not making money, and it was just a gigantic investment, a giant hole in my wallet at that time. We didn't even receive the products. And my friend was like, why don't you just do Postmates? And I was like, Postmates? That's a great idea, you know? And after doing it for a little bit, I realized there was so much time that I had to like sit there and work on my businesses and stuff, and I was just sitting around in my car. Granted, I was absolutely just going in circles, like doing everything wrong when I first started working for Postmates. I was driving to the strip, then I would come home, and I would drive to the strip, then I would come home, and I would drive to the strip. It was like a gigantic nightmare. I was barely making any money. Postmates sucked. They at the time, they wouldn't even tell you where the orders were going. So you had no idea where you're going. You just accept an order. It would pay you $4, and then hopefully you would get a tip, and sometimes you would go to the strip, and sometimes you would go to the other side of Las Vegas, and sometimes you would only make $4. It was horrible. But anyway, so I wanted to go over some of the lessons that I learned, because I feel like I learned a lot from Postmates, and I hope that people can take the same path as me, because I feel like I maximized gig apps to the absolute, like, I just feel like I got so much from them. There's not so many lessons that I learned. I went from making just around like $35,000 probably back in 2020, and I think I made around $60,000 in 2019, only because 2020 basically completely canceled all of my shows. So I was at least making show income in 2019, but in 2020, no show income at all. So it was basically all Doordash and YouTube. And then in 2021, we grossed $270,000 total income. But a lot of that was paid out to other independent contractors and stuff that I paid. And to me, like, it's crazy going from not even cracking 6 figures to almost cracking $300,000. And hopefully in this year we can do a lot better than that, because in 2021 we didn't even do any shows for the first 4 months. We didn't start until the end of April, I believe. So this year we were able to get started much earlier, so I think we can make much more. But I want to talk about, and I'll break that down for you guys at the end of the video if you want to hear how much I made from each business and how I got there and stuff. But this video is, I want to give you guys like 5 tips that I really learned from doing gig apps. And the number one thing that I think is super important is pace yourself and don't burn yourself out. There's so many people that I know that I tell, oh yeah, you should do like DoorDash or something. They spend like 10 hours on their first day and they just burn themselves out because they make like, they don't do that well because they're probably spending way too much time during like the down hours and stuff. And then they tell me the second day, they're like, I'm not doing that shit anymore. I spent like 10 hours and I only made $100. And I'm like, for one, you have to be doing it at the right times, you know? If you're not making money, you should probably just quit and wait till it's like a better time or something. But it goes with saying like the same thing that I tell people when they're working out. If you haven't been to the gym in years and you want to go work out, the worst thing you could do is go max out everything because you're going to be so sore, you're not going to be able to go the next day. And it's about doing little bit every single day consistently rather than doing it for just all at once and then just not doing it for 3 or 4 days. Because if you make 150 in one day, but then you don't do it for 2 days, really in 3 days you only made $50, and that's not really enough. For me, I always needed to make a certain amount. We'll get into that in a little bit because that's one of the other tips. But that goes into my second tip would be the importance of momentum. If you are not making any money, you're probably doing it at the wrong time. You're not doing it right. You should probably work smarter and not harder. But we do know that sometimes you're just making so much money. Like the orders are coming in. Maybe you're doing multiple apps. Everything's going super well. You have like a couple hours where you make like 30 to 40 bucks. That's the time where you need to keep going. The importance of momentum is so crucial for just about every aspect in life. If you are working out, you just got it, like, you know, once you start losing weight, it's so easy to keep going. The same thing for business. Once you start making money and it gets easier and easier, you get, like, if you were to stop and take a vacation, you're gonna come back and that momentum's gonna be gone. Well, you can't do that, especially doing gig apps and stuff. When you're making that money, that's whatever you had planned for the rest of the day, you should probably stop and just continue to make that money, because when the money's coming in, you might as well make that money. Number 3 is don't fully commit to one app. The reason I say that is because those apps do not care who you are. They do not care if you've done 10,000 orders. They don't care if you've done 10 orders. You're all the same to them. Like, I don't believe that there's any apps out there that give you a raise every like 1,000 orders you do or something. So just don't commit fully to one app, because there's no point of saying I'm an exclusive DoorDasher or I'm exclusive Instacart person. You got to play the field and you got to use all of the apps, because you are an independent contractor and you have to play the apps, not let the apps play you, because otherwise you're just going to be stuck with a broken down car at the end of the day. Number 4 is the importance of saving and buying assets, because all I could think for the first 3 years that I started my businesses, because we didn't really crack any money for the first 3 years, you know, like 17, 18, 19, we barely made enough money to get by. And I just specifically remember, and 2020, obviously we didn't make any money, but I just specifically remember every single day, like when I would wake up and I would sit there and I'm like, I gotta do DoorDash again. Like, I can't wait till my businesses make enough money to where I don't have to do this anymore, because I did it for like 4 years before I like even made enough money to where I'm like sitting comfortable. And it took forever. Like, man, those 4 years, that was all, it felt like 10 years, to be honest. So saving and buying assets and stuff is so important, because if you're not getting ahead, especially in the gig life, you're getting dragged behind. I always talk about the escalator analogy, how you think you're making money, but really that escalator is going the opposite direction and things are adding up. You're getting the free. I just remember, like, it was like the blink of an eye, my Ford Focus ST that I had before this car, it went from like 110,000 miles. Next thing you know, it's got like 220, and I'm like, holy shit, like 3 years of driving for Postmates and stuff, you're doing like 30,000 miles a year, if anything, maybe even more. And it just like, it was like a blink of an eye and everything, my car's just done. Like, it didn't work really anymore. Like, there was all these freaking noises and stuff, and you just really have to pay attention to the wear and tear. And if you're not saving, you're falling behind, because you're getting closer and like, sure, you're making money and you're paying your bills, but if you're not saving, you don't have like a cushion to sit on it's all going to hit at the same time, and it almost always does. You get flat tires. Flat tires cost way more than they used to. Just buying tires, everything has gone up, especially with inflation and everything else that's going on. Gas prices, everything is going up in prices, and the gig apps aren't paying you any more money. So you really have to focus on saving, getting ahead, buying assets and things that are going to make you more money. I specifically remember like when I was like making like 10, 20 bucks a day on YouTube, I was just sitting there like, okay, now I can make 60 bucks a day. Now I can make 50 bucks a day on Doordash. And finally, like, it got to the point where like I was making enough passive income from my other businesses that I didn't have to freaking Doordash anymore. And this was only like, this is just over a year ago. I would say in May last year. No, it's not, it hasn't even been a year yet, is when I finally like got out of the rat race, as Rich Dad, Poor Dad would say. Like, I finally got out of the rat race where I didn't have to just keep working every single day anymore. That leads me to number 5. Number 5. I'm writing these things down. Setting a goal every day. That means 2 different things. One, you have to set a goal every day. For me, it was make 70 bucks a day, because 70 bucks a day translates into about $2,100 a month, which for me, I had about $200 or $300 in personal loans that I had to pay for my footwear company. I took out a loan, which was about $168, I believe, for my shoes, because it's $35,000-ish every time we get a new pair of shoes. And then for the trampoline that I bought, which was about a $12,000 trampoline. So I had about $300 in personal loans that I was paying every single month, on top of a $300 car payment. This is back in the day. Anyways, all my bills added up to where I needed to, if I wanted to have like $600 to spend on myself, I needed to make $2,100 a month. And that meant making $70 a day doing DoorDash or Postmates or something. And I had to set those goals to where I would make 70 bucks every day. And sometimes I would get super far ahead. You know, I'd be like, okay, I made 120 today, 120, now I can take a day off or something like that. But if you don't set that goal, and if you don't have a plan, you're not gonna achieve anything. You're just gonna kind of like, you're not gonna, like, anyone who doesn't have a plan in life, they usually end up at the bottom because they didn't know what they're doing. It's so much easier if you know your next moves. It just someone, like, I don't know, it just doesn't work if you don't have a plan. And not only like setting a goal every day for delivery or side hustles or whatever I was doing, setting a goal every day for either listening to an audiobook, doing a certain amount of sales for my stunt show or something. Like, I would write down a list. Like, usually my thing would be, I would wake up, I would write down 10 businesses that I wanted to call or send a cold email to, and try to at least get those 10 done while I was sitting waiting in a parking lot or something for an order to come in. Or just set any kind of goal that's outside of the delivery or whatever you're doing. Because if you're not doing something outside, you're just going to be left with a broken down car at the end of this. And that's just the unfortunate truth. So you have to have something else going for you, because these apps don't care about you. Inflation's getting crazy, and it's just so important to have something else going for you, and to learn, like, to take like the lessons you're learning in like the work ethic that you build by being an independent contractor, because it is like having your own business to a point. Anyways, so if you guys stuck around and you wanted to know how much I made, because I just finished doing my taxes, and it was honestly like, this last year has been such a blessing, because it was like, I've been sitting here for the last 4 years, and I was like, I know that success is where opportunity meets preparation. Now, I specifically remember being so broke, doing Postmates till like 2 in the morning, like 2 or 3 years ago, and posting on Facebook, and I said, success is where opportunity means preparation. And I said, I'm waiting for that opportunity because I'm prepared as fuck right now. And finally, like, it's just about planting enough seeds, and that's what business is. It's just planting seeds all over the place, and opportunities will bloom here and there. So last year, the stunt show grossed $160,000. About half of that was paid out to independent contractors and acrobats and people that I hired. So that is definitely not all profit. The stunt show is, I generally take home about half of what we make in a show. Like if we make $10,000, I usually walk with 5, and that goes back into the business towards advertising and equipment and other things. That's just how I run the business, basically. $32,000 from YouTube ad revenue. Last year we started the year off and we were making about $1,800, and at the beginning of the year and towards the end of the year we were making about $3,400. Obviously, if you have paid attention to my channel recently, we are so far down. We're making just about $1,600 a month on YouTube now. So obviously this has not been a great year for YouTube for me, but last year, phenomenal year for YouTube. Ad revenue was super high. Everything went super well. I made a lot. We made $16,000, and that comes from sponsorship deals. Most of it was from Para, to be honest. And then just other deals and things that you see me like posting about, like the Tiege Hanley, and like these are little like sponsorship deals that we work out with them. $50,000 in shoe sales. It was like $49,500, I believe, so it's just under $50,000 in shoe sales. That is gross shoe sales. Obviously everything I'm telling you is gross, so the profit was much less. You know, there's a lot that goes involved in selling shoes and stuff. $5,000 in YouTube or in videos. So I also do things, for example, like for Razor. I got $2,000 from Razor. There was a wedding that I shot, a few other social media projects and things for other various businesses and stuff. That used to be the main source of income for me back in the day, was cinematography. That was the first business I ever started. So we made 5 on just doing like different content creation projects for other businesses, and then we made $7,000 on Doordash, and that was basically from January till May-ish, because I was still doing Doordash full-time for those few months. So I was making about $1,500 to $2,000 for those months, and then basically from May until December I would just do it for the daily dash here and there, but I wouldn't really do much at all. So if you guys enjoy my videos at all, please consider subscribing. Hopefully you guys can take some tips and advice from this. I'm just trying to give as much free information as I can, because a lot of people are broke and a lot of people are misguided, and a lot of people don't know they just don't know how money works. And I feel like I've learned a lot of valuable lessons, and I've screwed up royally a ton of times, and every time I screw up I definitely try to tell you guys, so that way you guys don't make the same mistakes as me. So hopefully you guys take some information from this. If you guys enjoyed the video, please smash that thumbs up. Again, please subscribe. And if you guys want to go get yourself a cool pair of shoes, my footwear company is offaxisathletics.com. Use my discount code offaxistanner for 30% off. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one. Peace, everybody.